Big dog. I think this is my first comedian. I'm pretty sure this is my first comedian on the show, mate. So thank you because
Well,
comedy is a fucking special place in my heart, mate.
I appreciate it. This is going to be a really weird time to tell you. I was planning on doing no jokes, no comedy whatsoever. I was going to be very serious, talking
Really?
about politics and global issues.
Oh
But
wow, you came to the
yeah,
right place, man.
yeah, you fucked that up. Then you fuck. Now I got to be funny. I gotta perform now. How are you, Alex? How are you, my friend?
Mate, I'm fucking on top of the moon now. I got to speak to someone who likes to talk shit and say something pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? I'm
Well,
one of the I'm one of those weird people that if I sit at a dinner table, right, and people that know me know this. If I sit at a dinner table, I'm either going to ask you the fucking meaning of the universe, or I'm going to say something so fucked up that it's going to get everybody gasping for air. And there's not really much in between. I can't do this small talk nonsense.
well, fair enough. I'm happy to be here. Let's try not to get me canceled.
Oh yeah.
Let's just try to do that. I already told you before we started recording. I have a baby on the way. I can't be losing my income now. All right.
Oh god, I'm gonna be responsible for this. This is
Yeah.
not good, dude. What got you into comedy, man? Like it's a real special fucking job.
Uh, well, well, maybe I should tell people because there's going to be a little background that needs to be
Go
told
for it.
before that. So,
Yours.
for anyone who might not know me, my name is Ryan Niemiller. I'm a comedian out of the U.S. I've been doing about 16 years. If you know me ahead of time, you probably know me from America's Got Talent. I was on that a few years ago. Had a really good run. Got third place in 2019, and I go by the cripple threat of comedy because I have a very noticeable disability in my arms. That is important backstory for why I got into comedy. So I grew up in a really tiny town in Indiana in the States, and maybe 3,000 people at most. Just a really a farming town. I like to call it tragically white. We have not a lot of diversity where I'm from. Good
Understood.
people, but just an incredibly white bunch of people. Like me having a disability was people's excuse for getting to say racist jokes because
Oh,
I was the diversity kind of thing. It'd be like, yeah, this black guy. No, don't worry. I know Ryan. It's fine. I know Ryan. And it's like, that's not the same at all. That's not even close to the same. Um, but as you know, and everyone knows, I'm not special in this regard. Growing up is hard. And if you have anything that's different about you, you can become an easy target for bullying because everyone else is so insecure with trying to exist too. They look for like the weakest person. And having a very noticeable disability, I could have been in the crosshairs for a lot of people. But luckily, I was born just with a naturally quick wit.
mm.
And I was so much better at making the jokes. I like even when I was really young, 5, 6, I could kind of roast people back, or I would make such better jokes about myself before anyone else could that people were just kind of like, "Oh, this guy's cool. We're not gonna mess with him anymore." And then just as I got older, I started to realize, and every time I say this, I feel like it sounds more sinister and creepy than I mean it to. I assure you, I don't. But like, if you're funny and you can get people laugh, people will do things for you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
if you get people in a good mood, they're more likely to, the amount of times that like I've got extensions on bills I was late on, or things like that, just because I was able to like be funny and witty. I sort of realized that I was getting older, like, oh yeah, you can really make people exist by just making them feel good by laughing, and it kind of transitioned into to stand up eventually when I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty decent at this, maybe I can make a living out of it.
Fucking love that, man. It is so true, right? You make someone smile, you make someone laugh, whether it's just a little laugh or a belly laugh, like they're more inclined to be like, oh yeah, don't worry about that other thing, like
Yeah, yeah, and my wife has been very fascinated by that because so my wife is from Southern California originally, and just how things work here because there's so many people. It's too packed. People generally stick to themselves. Like not everyone's me. I like the stereotype is like, oh, everyone's just out for themselves and they're whatever. It's not quite that, but like it's so overwhelming. So here people don't casually like chat people up if you're like waiting in line and stuff like that. And my wife, she's been so fascinated because it's very much a Midwest American thing that like, like, oh, we're in a fast food or in the drive-through at a fast food restaurant, and we're just waiting for the food and just like, well, how's your day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How are you doing? And my wife's like, what are you doing? Like, how do you, what do you do? Like, and then she'll be like surprised when we get like a free cookie or something like that. It's like, no, like, we're stuck here anyway. Let's just kind of chat up. If you get people feeling good about themselves, and I don't mean it to sound selfishly, because I do it just because I'm stuck there anyway, but like, people will give you shit and they'll be nice to you and they'll go the extra mile for you. And she's learning that on her own as well. It's fascinating.
It's just like modern day karma, right? But we like to do it with some, little risque jokes rather than just good deeds,
Right. Yeah. It can be a variety of things, just like holding a door open. Those little things, they can really go a long way. Because I always use it with like service industry people. Because like I worked in fast food restaurants for a long time. I worked in call centers. I worked at like your Walmart and your Starbucks. I worked retail, all that kind of stuff for a long time. Those jobs suck. They fucking suck. And you're usually underpaid and you're dealing with the most entitled people on the planet every single day for no money. The least I can do is like, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
How you doing? Like don't worry about it. Like this is no rush here. Like we're cool. We're just having a conversation. Like, because people don't understand, like they get so mad that, oh, these people, these fucking morons want an extra $1 an hour. Like, shut up, man. These jobs suck. Like, who's going crazy? Like, who's trying to work their ass off at a Walmart? Like, it's you don't get any kind of respect or acknowledgement. So like, I get it. I always try to be nice to those people, even if it's bad service. Fuck it, I get it.
Yeah, man.
I've worked those jobs. You're barely making any money. Like, that's one of your 3 jobs you have to work here in the States, so you can not pay rent still. That's fine if you're a little bit upset.
Yeah, of course. Everyone's had shit days, and it's like you never know what someone's going through. And just, I always say something that's gonna make someone smile, even if it's nice kicks. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, what do you mean? I was like, oh, I like your shoes. Or even if it's bullshit, just fucking lie to them. It's all right. Like, I don't like those shoes. I don't like stilettos, but they suit you. Oh, nice hair. I don't fucking care what their hair's like, but just say something that's going to be like, oh, nice.
It doesn't hurt. Like, I know this is a little bit of, this is like cliche. We're getting into bumper sticker territory really fast on here. But like, it doesn't hurt to just be nice to people until they don't deserve it. I always want to put that caveat on there. Some people are incredibly toxic and they don't have your best interest at heart. You don't got to kill them with kindness. At a certain point, you just got to be like, hey, go fuck yourself. All right. I don't have time. Like I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm married. I have a kid on the way. My dog loves me. My wife loves me. My mom loves me.
That's all
outside of that, if you're a real pain in the ass, I don't need you in my life.
Yeah.
but I try not to be the cause of that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, something that really sticks out to me is sarcasm, right? Because some countries really don't fucking get it. And wherever I go in the world, I'm always going to be sarcastic. I'm Northern, right? I'm English. We basically invented the stuff. You say it with such a dry face, and it's like as dry as Gandhi's flip flop, mate. You know what I mean? Like it is absolute sandal territory.
Oh, I mean, like I have a theater background. That's what I got my degree in college. I've done so much Shakespeare and shit. I mean, that's like like Shakespeare is so much fucking just that dry, poor people making the wealthy elite look like idiots through wordplay. Like I love that shit, man.
That's what gets you out of bed, man. Like sometimes all we got is the words that we can spin out of our mouth. You know what I mean? And it can go for a lot of bad. Obviously, you can like rip people down, but you can also spin it and be a little bit clever and add that soft skill into it and a little bit of like spoken poetry at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, the thing that like always gets people in trouble though, and I'll get on a soapbox. We're going all over the place with this thing.
Let's go.
But I love good sarcasm. The problem is there's a lot of people who are bad at it and don't know what it is, and they try to use it as an excuse just to be assholes. The amount of people who will just like say something like, "Yeah, you got a really fucking ugly face." I'm just being sarcastic. No, you're being an asshole. That
No,
is not that's not the same thing.
no, you're just
You
a
know?
cunt. You know, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That is totally different. And people have kind of lost the meaning of the word. Back in my like dating site and dating app days before I was married, one of my biggest red flags that I would just go when someone's like, I'm so sarcastic. I'm like, no, you're
No.
probably a bitch. Like, because you don't know what that means. Anyone who's really good at sarcasm usually doesn't have to announce it ahead of time. I am sarcastic. Look at me. Like, no, you're just trying to use it as an excuse to be a dick.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Just fucking walking in with a neon sign saying I'm a massive knob, you know, like
Yeah, basically. It's
honestly.
yeah, because sarcasm works if you're not trying to be if it's mean spirited, you're just an asshole.
Mm.
You know, like because it's there's a difference between like busting balls with your buddies and just coming out firing like like no, you're a dick. I don't care if you think it's sarcasm or wordplay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
being a piece of shit. Like there also has to be that relationship, that kind of circumstance that dictates like, yeah, I'm gonna bust your balls a little bit. We're gonna have a little fun here, but I don't mean anything by it. And if you're doing that to strangers, they probably don't know that. They're just an asshole then.
I'm not gonna lie, I'll still I'll still be slightly sarcastic to people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm English, man. You know, like it's like you've just got to drop the face, look them straight in the eye, and if they crack a smile, you're like, "We're good, we're in. It's no
Uh,
problem." And if not, it's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm just fucking with you." Like, you
yeah,
know,
then we'll just move on with your
yeah,
day.
we can move on. Don't worry, it's
Yeah.
fine. I'll just laugh to myself then. It's all right. Like, but I have to admit, like talking shit with your mates, right? Just talking some absolute garbage. Like you say stuff you don't mean, you know, you say stuff that don't even make any sense, you know, and you just kind of weird pull it in and it twists and then it just gets spit out somewhere else, right? I think it's the greatest thing on earth, man.
I love doing that, but the reason I think that works is there's a certain level of trust that's been built. You
Yes.
know it's coming from a place of love.
Yes.
You know it's coming from a place of respect. It's the reason. You know, we were talking a little bit before we went on. I'm a big video game guy, so I'm in one of my game rooms right now. I own about 5,000 games. That's my thing. That's what I put my spending money
What's your favorite
into.
game?
Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one's I play it probably twice a year, every year. It's I neglect my other 4,999 games a lot of times just to replay that again. Uh but like so I'm a big game guy. I never play online or at least not with like headphones on to talk to strangers because if we're friends and you're like you fucking suck, okay, we're having a good time.
Yeah,
We're
yeah, for
buddies.
sure.
I know who I am as a person though. If a stranger is like you fucking suck, I go from 0 to 100 so quickly that like it makes me the worst version of myself. And I've had to recognize this about me. Like I don't want to be this guy, but like if we've never met and you're like, yeah, you fucking suck, dude. I'll be like, well, I hope you get stomach cancer. How about that? Like that's such an aggressive jump that does not warrant that. But in that moment, I just see red. You know, I just have this like flash of rage, and I don't want to be that guy. You know, so I just have to kind of pull myself out of situations like that.
The lobbies of online gaming is a fucking cesspit, man. Like the shit that gets said in there, I have to agree, man. You know, it's like you and I are busting balls now, but then when you go with like your high school mates or your long term mates, it's going to be taken up another level. But I completely agree, man. Like if I'm just playing a bit of video games, you know, shooting some animated characters or playing some fucking FIFA and somebody's dropping like bloody racist jokes in there and everything. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Guys, this is an escape from reality at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
trying to have a
We're
good time.
playing imaginary soccer, you asshole. Like it's not that serious. Like, what are you doing here? It's not real. You're not actually doing it. Yeah, it makes me it's the same reason I have to do it for my job a little bit, but I've tried to take myself back off of social media a little bit because I get myself doom scrolling.
Mm.
You know, and you start going through Twitter and you see people who say just like obviously ridiculous fucking shit. And I used to like try to yell at them or engage them. No one's changing their mind because I'm witty with them. Like it's ruining my quality of life. When I was in my late 20s, early 30s and single and mad at the world, yeah, fuck it. I'll argue with strangers online and ruin my own mental health. Who gives a shit? But like life is good for me now, man. Like I don't want to bring that negativity. I don't want to get mad at some jackass on Twitter and then go be short with my wife, end up divorced because of fucking Twitter. It's not worth it.
Get mad at some 7-year-old in London. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
come on, man. Like
that bullshit. I'm like, you're 12 and from Europe. There's no way you fucked my mom. It's impossible. How dare you? My mom is a sweetheart. She's an angel. How dare you?
Oh man. Yeah, dude. Like, just thinking back, man. I used to love gaming, man. I don't do it much anymore. Like, I get obsessed with things. If I like something, I usually overdo it. I'm one of those nut jobs, right? I have to be very, very careful. It's why I can't work weekends. It's why at specific times I got to shut things down because I go down fucking rabbit holes. Like, I'll either train all the time, work all the time, fucking game all the time. I'm basically an addict, but I got to be really fucking careful of where it goes,
yeah.
right?
I mean, that shit hits the same part of your brain too. It's
100%.
why, it's maybe it's not as detrimental in the grand scheme of things, but like that's why video game addiction and porn addiction and stuff like that can be just as dangerous as heroin because it's hitting that same part. And most people have the ability to just be like, okay, I'm going to play a game for an hour and then I'm going to set it down and go do things. I kind of get the same way sometimes. Like if I really get into something and I've had to, being married and having like, we're trying to buy a house, we're trying to do all this stuff, it's helped. But I'm also someone too, in that same vein that you're talking about, when I start a hobby, instead of just dipping my toes in and being like, oh, that seems like that might be fun. What's the entry level for how I can get in there? I will spend, I'll try to spend like $4,000 on equipment and like all this stuff before I've even left the house to go do the thing. And then I go do it once and I'm like, oh, I didn't really like that. I probably should have slowed down a little bit.
I should have thought this through.
It's tough, man. It's tough to like, and it's nice that like, I think a big part of mental health is if you can develop self-awareness and know who you are as a person. I don't drink alcohol because I know I will be an alcoholic. My grandpa was, my dad was, it killed both of them in the grand scheme of things. I'm very like my dad. It's genetic, it's biological. And I also battle depression. So I'm like, if I ever started drinking, I would never stop. So I never started. I had to have the self-awareness to know that's just not going to be a thing for me. And I think that's like with addiction, a lot of people don't have that self-awareness. I think a lot of times that's what's missing from the transaction. Because like you're talking now, that you probably have that toxic trait. So
fucking 100%. That's why I can't gamble.
So you make the conscious decision not to do it. You're like, okay, well, like I'm the same way. I never gamble. I work Vegas a lot. I do all that. At most, I'll do $20. I'll set myself a limit. Go dick around on a slot machine for okay, and that's like my cost of entertainment for the night. We're done. I'm good because I know I'm that way too. If someone's like, "Oh, just go gamble, go spend $1,000," if I win once, that's my life now.
It's game over, man. It's game over. Like I gotta do it with most things, man. Like during the week, I gotta be pretty on it. Like the weekends, I don't really give a fuck. But like if somebody opens like basically you open a cheesecake, right? You're like, Al, do you want a bit? I'm like, no, because I know where it is now. And I will just fucking do the back end out of this fucking lemon cheesecake, man. And I'll get the fucking taste for it. It's weird, bro. It's like it plays with you. You know what I mean? And it's, again, same with gambling. I love cards. I will play cards. I will play it for fucking free. Like, I dare say I'll go to a casino and play poker for money. Yes. But like, I do not gamble. I don't put the lotto on. I don't fucking do any of that nonsense. I'm not betting on no horses. Nothing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like you speak of food, that's one of my biggest battles my entire life. Like even now, just like trying to work diet and by portion control is always big for me because we grew up poor, so sometimes food felt like it was like food and money were a scarce resource. It
Yep.
felt like we always ate well. It wasn't like that my parents made sure we had that, but you always have in the back of your mind, like, oh, we never have enough money, so you can't waste this food. Money was used to buy this food. So like, no, you got to eat everything that's there. You got to eat all the leftovers. You got to keep eating that. There's just certain foods. And luckily my wife is a wonderful support system. Like, we can't have bags of chips in the house because that is eaten before. That's like a one sitting. Like a giant bag of Ruffles is a one sitting meal for me. I just kind
Me
of get in
too,
that
man.
mode, and before I know it, I'm like, "Fuck, God!" Then you feel like that shame. You feel awful. But there's just certain foods that, like, you know, uh, or what the our kind of back door on that, because my wife can just it's the I don't understand this mentality, but she can get like a bag of candy, and that will last her for months.
Nah, bro.
She'll be like, "Oh, this is just a special treat here and there." If it's her candy, because I love my wife and I'm not going to eat her shit, I can like, okay, that's your stuff. I'm not even going to look at it. If it's like, oh, I'm going to set out this bowl of candy for us, it's fucking gone. I don't have that impulse control with certain stuff like that. It's again, and I know that I've cracked the intellectual part of it. Now it's just the, okay, how do I go the other direction?
Yeah.
and make like exercise have that same type of draw for me.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta force yourself to have a stop and force yourself to have a go. You know what I mean? Like, for example, with like working out, for example, it's like no, you have no fucking option, and it's like it has to be done. And that's kind of where I've had to put myself in it. But I'm privileged because I work in the industry, right? Like, if I don't do it, like, I'm not gonna have a job very
You're
quickly.
homeless.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got shit to do. Yeah, it can be tough. Like I have that same, with my job. It always sounds ridiculous. Like, being a stand-up comic, I have a job that most people think is amazing. Like I get to travel and I get paid to tell jokes and I get to be the most popular guy in the room, and like all that's great. I still have to do the same thing for myself, because a lot of people get surprised. Like, I'm naturally an introvert who wants to be at home. Like I've worked hard to buy all this cool shit. I want to play with my cool shit at home. Like, I never want to leave. So like, it can be tough. Like, even if like I always know intellectually, okay, these shows are going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun. But like, I want to hang out with my dog, and I want to hang out with my wife, and I want to play video games, and I just want to, that this weekend I'm in South Dakota for the first time ever. Which I don't know your knowledge of the United States. It's a beautiful place. It's not exactly a destination location, like you wouldn't fly from overseas. If you're going to come to the States for the first time, you're probably going to LA, New York, you want to see that experience. You don't go to South Dakota. It's the middle of fucking nowhere. But the shows are going to be great. Like, they're all sold out already. Like, it's going to be fantastic. I'm already dreading getting on the plane though. I still have to get myself mentally prepared to, like, okay, I'm going to be away from my family for a little bit. I have to, spend all this time in the airport. I got to do all that. I do the shows, and then I'm just hanging out in hotels in a city where I don't know anybody. It's you got to manage that mental health, because even if life is good, you still have stuff that you're kind of fighting against. Like, every job, no matter how cool it is, has its negative parts. Like, I love comedy. I hate the travel, man. It's rough.
Really?
It's a lot,
Wow.
I spent so much time, because like, again, you get such drastic highs and lows. I know why a lot of comedians turn to drugs and alcohol, because you need something to fill that void. Because I'll do shows, I'll get a standing ovation. Like, I'll be the most popular guy in that room. People want to meet me after, they're taking pictures after. The second that everyone goes home though, they're talking like, wow, that was a great show. He was fantastic. I go back to a fucking Holiday Inn, by myself, where the heater doesn't work or whatever, and I'm just in this room sitting around. Okay, I'm like, all right, it's 10 p.m. now.
Guess I'll jerk off.
Yeah. I don't know anyone in this town. My wife's at home.
Yeah.
Couldn't bring the dog. I can't really travel with most of my video games. All right, this is my life. Like, you go from like such a dramatic, like, it's amazing being the star of the show. Like, I love that feeling. I love all eyes on me when I'm on stage. Like, I love that, like, being able to make that many people happy at once. It's great. But once that ends, it's very sudden. When everyone goes home, it's like, but you're still hyped up. It's not like your adrenaline instantly goes, okay, we're back down to normal now. You're still like, yeah, fuck yeah. But oh, all the food places are closed, and I know nobody in South Dakota. Well, I guess I'll go watch Netflix in the hotel and eat a vending machine dinner. There's a lot of highs and lows, and you got to manage your mental health with that.
How do you manage it?
A lot of it's just been reps. It's been years of doing it. You kind of just learn to. For me, it's I kind of mentioned it a little flippantly, but I'll dive into like some nerd shit that I care about. Like I'll start binge watching a show, just something that kind of takes my mind off of feeling alone or homesick in those moments. But I'll be like, well, I need to catch up. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, for instance. Like, I'll need to catch up on some of the shows that have happened this week, or I'll go watch some old classic wrestling stuff, just stuff that I know makes me happy, that I don't necessarily have to put a lot of thought into. It kind of becomes a little bit of white noise just to get me going until that adrenaline passes, and then I'm just existing again. But
And
I've
you're
had to
back to
learn that. I've had to learn that. There's been a lot of times where, like I'll be almost manic, and this has been years since this happened. But you get in a hotel, and I can't sleep. Oh, I check out is at 11. I fall asleep at 9:45 a.m. For 30 minutes, and you're just like, shit, man. Like I've really been on the edge of it too, and it's a few times almost wanting to quit comedy, because it's like, is that part worth it? Like the shows are always great, that's my reward, but all that other stuff can be really, really stressful.
the highs have got to be worth the lows, right? And
Yeah.
it's how do you bring yourself back down, sorry, to technically homeostasis, like back to like just kind of, okay, this is kind of my normal state, right? Like
Right.
everybody
Yeah.
gets fired up and that's great and we all love it and we say some fucked up shit and people laugh and then it's like, well, I don't know about yourself, but like I mean, you said you suffer with some depression, and I mean, so do I, and tend to go all the way up to the top. Like I'll be on fire, fizzing. Everything's going great. Passion's out my fucking ass crack. And there's always a voice at the back of my head saying, like, Alex, you've been here before. You know that because you've gone so high, you now have to kind of pay your dues and go so low. And you're like, oh shit, okay, how am I going to pull myself out of this one? And it really does pose the question of, is this worth it? And I can really empathize with that, man.
Yeah, and that's something that I think no matter what you do, and obviously there's always life circumstances, but the way that I always try to look at most things, this is what helps me with my own personal battles with depression and mental health, is whenever something becomes more painful or detrimental than it is good, I try to get out of it. If they're at, like, I love my job right now. Comedy's going really well for me. I'm making the best money of my life on this. Like life is good in that regards. I also know things aren't like the pandemic was a huge blow to my momentum. Like things can change in a hurry. That was something none of us could have predicted happened, but it happened, and you never know what like the next turn's going to be on any time. If it ever gets to a point, and I love comedy. Comedy is, being a performer is the only job I've ever wanted to do. I thought it was going to be pro wrestler. That was really hard on my body. I did this instead. But I love it. If it gets to a point where doing comedy is having more of a negative, like a way more negative than positive effect on my life, I'll quit comedy and figure something else out, because pushing through something because you think you love it, it's not going to be worth it if at the end of the day you kill yourself, because you can't handle it anymore. Like we're expecting our first child in May, and I don't anticipate this is going to happen. But if it turns out it works better for us in our situation, that I need to be a stay-at-home dad for a while, see you later, comedy. I'll see you down the road. Like I don't need it the same way I think a lot of people do, and it goes back to being self-aware and having those like obsessive traits. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, yeah, comedy's my blood, I'll die without getting to do this. I won't be able to, because at the time I felt sincerely that's all I had. The rest of my life I felt was, I was single, a lot of depression.
Mhm.
I was in bad health. I was working shitty day jobs that were barely paying. You know, just like all this kind of shit was negative. Comedy was like my one thing that was like, oh, this is what's saving me. And getting to do these shows is amazing.
Mm.
At this point, like I love comedy and it still does a lot for me. And I enjoy the shows and all the fans and getting to do it. But you know, I harken back to it again. My wife loves me, my mom loves me, my dog loves me. You know, like I got a great life here at home now, and comedy is never going to win over my wife and child. It just never will. There's no chance.
That's the way it should be, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. But for everyone, that's not the case. Some people are just so, you know, just like anything, your job can be an addiction
Yep.
as well. You know, like being a workaholic is usually one of those words that people throw around flippantly. Like, oh, I'm a workaholic. No, you just work hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same as being an actual workaholic where you are, you know, neglecting friends and family and your own health and your own, you know, that is a workaholic. The people who are putting in 100 to 120 hours a week and neglecting other responsibilities. Like you can do that. It can become an obsession. And I never want that to happen, no matter how much I love my job.
Been there, bro. You know, I've worked every day the fucking week, 18-hour days. And I know for me, like, I'll just go so far down that rabbit hole where I just can't get myself back out of it. Like, I will do it to my own detriment, and everybody else will start falling by the wayside as well. And it's kind of, that's why I got a hard stop. Like, I just got off a phone call meeting like maybe 20 minutes before this, and they want me to work some weekends. And I'm like, I can't do that, man. They're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, this is kind of the industry. I was like, nah, man, you don't understand. Like, I understand me, and I've been doing this a long time now. And nah, because everybody else around is going to get negatively affected, and I will be fucking ruined again, because it's the same thing. I'm not going to put that first 20 buck fucking bet on the dice. You know, I'm not going to bet on the bloody Grand National at home. Like, I'm not going to do that one thing. I can't snort that line of coke because I know I'm going to like it. You know what I mean? And that's fucking game over then. Like, you know, they say, what is it, like 21 days to make a habit?
Yep.
If I like something, it's a habit. All it takes is one. Like, I'm fucking mental.
21 seconds.
21 seconds.
For you. Yeah.
But that's all you need, eh? Hey.
Yep. Yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I'm going to be a dad now. Am I right? That's all it took.
Going twice in that time, hey? Now
I was like, hey, when you're 40 and married and you're tired and you're working, that's really all you need.
Is it hard? That's all you need.
Yeah. 4-hour marathon session's a young man's game, my friend. Like we're adults with shit to do.
I got Dude, I got 3 minutes. You still got some time? Should we shut this down and make a new one?
Yeah, it works for me, man.
All right, let's do it. I'll see you.
Oh yeah, just email me the other link.
Yeah, bro, no problem. Right. See you in a minute, guys. Part 2 coming up.